Today. Today is the guest experience. We've got a couple of outstanding people, Andy Powell from Gensler and David Diaz from Processa. You know, COVID is rewriting the user experience and the guest experience. And for those of you who are interested in the topic of learning about the flu and how it hopefully will end, there's a good book called The Great Influenza by John Barry. And it kind of talks about the phases of the flu. Anyway, we're in the learning together, recovering stronger mode right here, and we're going to get into a little bit here, just an overview. And we believe that by learning together, we're going to be recovering much stronger. And we built the business. Andy Powell is the lifestyle for studio architect lead at Gensler, and David Diaz is the CEO of Processa, which is a travel company. For those of you who are tuning in, we have additional events coming up throughout the year. We've also got requests for store tours, virtual store tours of a various number of topics. And so we're happy to talk to you about offline about all these different opportunities. We've been doing this since February, before it hit the United States and while China was deep into this. And so where we are, according to Johns Hopkins, is we've pretty much opened the US, and some of the markets that are open are closing down to sort of refine their process. So for those who are, are following this, of course, a number of different categories: retail stores, restaurants, hair salons, gyms, houses of worship. There are, variously impacted. And when we look at those factors that drive success in customer experience, they involve, in this case, it's safety, because if you feel safe, you're going to shop. Very much like those who went through 9/11, when you felt safe, you went back on the airplane. The human touch is very important. It's been important throughout all time. The brand story, a good example of that is Disney or Tiffany, and that being able to tell the brand story is critical. The ability to change and change rapidly has been something that we've seen companies very successfully. We've highlighted this almost every single week to do. Those who are embrace technology, those who are using live streaming for shopping or AR or VR are doing well. Those that have a unique value proposition, why should I leave my house, or why should I, go from point A to point B, unless, what can I do in my house that I can do? What can I do outside my house that I can't do in my house? And we have probably the world's greatest example. The ability to train and the ability to have people constantly updated, because the protocols for COVID-19 change. And so safety and feeling safe is important. And the ability of store design is critical. So, as the headlines from the Wall Street Journal today are, COVID rewrites the Disney playbook. What you don't see here is that on May 6th, the Disneyland Shanghai opened successfully and has been open ever since. So there is a model for success, as well as Disney Hong Kong, which opened, and then it's closed for a little bit to get its grip on the coronavirus. So Gensler is the world's largest and most important architecture firm, and the metaphor we're using today is the American Dream Project, which is very extensive. And so we believe pre-pandemic and post-pandemic that American Dream is the future of retail. And so I'm going to start a discussion with Andy, and so when we first visited, and this actually could almost be a year ago.
Yeah.
This was the ski slope, and all those great designs there resulted in the finished product, which is this. And this, it's 98 degrees in New York today, and you can go skiing. So, that's go ahead.
Yeah, Dan, we've had many good walks out there, and really our conversations did center around the idea that this is a very unique place, right? The guest experience as it relates to the American dream is really sort of a new thing, right? We're centering the idea that people come first. You know, the people come first at this place, right? You can
Oh,
go to the American dream.
1 second.
Yeah.
Stacy, you're saying that, can you get on live, Stacy? So you're saying that, that this is the link for the 23rd? We're on the wrong link? Stacy, can you confirm that?
Yeah, Chelsea and I are working on it right now. So I'm going to send out the direct link. So we should have that remedied here in a second.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Well, it was our rehearsal then. So should we then log off this and then log on?
No, you being on won't matter. Once we get that link out, people will be able to join this one. So you'll be fine to stay on.
Okay.
We'll sit tight.
Good. All right. Our first technical glitch. Well, this was a very good rehearsal. I think everyone's doing very well, and congratulations.
Nice job, Dan. That happens, right?
Not yet, but this is the first for us. So
I suppose that the people that are on are in the know, huh?
they are, yeah. That's just the links got a little confused. So we're taking care of that right now. So apologies. The great thing is that this will live forever, and we'll put this on the site, even for those who weren't able to go. Okay, get this right here. Yeah, just amazing. When you go on this ski slope, oh, people are coming. There you go.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's working. Okay. Yep, they are coming. So thanks for joining us. To those who have joined us, we appreciate that.
Yeah, we should have everything taken care of now. Chelsea's sending out an email right now with the link, and I just sent that link over to Eric, so we should have everything good to go.
Okay. Well, we have a couple more participants on the call, so that's terrific. Would you suggest waiting a couple more minutes, or?
Yeah, just a couple more minutes. Chelsea's about to send that out, so I would say maybe a couple minutes, and then you can restart.
Okay. Well, great. So for those, Dora and Jeff and Stephen and David and Alyssa, welcome. You are getting a sneak preview here of the guest experience, which has been and always has been the most important thing in retail. And so so hang in there. We've got a great event for you. Apologize for the snafus, but we will be with you shortly. Okay, Stacy, we're going to get started. Anyways, welcome again to the World Retail Forum. Stacy, are you there?
Oh, yes. Sorry, Chelsea just resent the event through Eventbrite, so that'll go out.
Okay, good. We have a few people, so we're going to get started. So welcome to joining. We are thanks for those of you, many of you are coming back week after week. We appreciate that. We are on the call here with David Diaz from Processa, Andy Powell from Gensler, and we're getting ready to start. And so again, thanks for joining us. We are going to be discussing the guest experience today. And for those of you who would like to participate, we have many events coming up. We have our sort of American Dream replay in Spanish, and that is Thursday. So for those, Eric and his team have put the entire presentation on subtitles. So, and that's for our group of retailers in Mexico and Latin America. We've also had requests for virtual tours. You know, many people in, we've talked to many people in Brazil and New Zealand and Australia. We know that you're not traveling soon, so we have virtual tours for you that we'll be scheduling as part of this. And they involve things like COVID-19, tech tours. Hudson Yards, which was supposed to open on Monday, has been delayed opening. And then certainly American Dream, which we'll focus our entire attention on. But there's been revolutions in many different industries. Where we are with COVID-19 is that we opened up and now we're sort of adjusting across the US. And you know, various industries are affected in different ways, but certainly we're moving forward. We talked about the 8 building blocks of customer experience. And so the most important one here is safety, because when people feel safe, they shop, they take airplanes, they go on trips, and there's the human touch. And the human touch is always important, but it's super important now because, you know, there is a certain, for those of you who lived through 9/11, you know, it's been an emotional burden on the world, this COVID-19. Everyone loves a story, and there's nothing like a brand story. So the story of Disney, the story of American Dream, the story of Beta, the story of Tiffany, all compelling. One of the factors that has been super important, and this is reflected in our talk, is the ability to change quickly and rapidly. And those who have done so, some by using technology and some by creating new unique value propositions, are succeeding in the marketplace. So, you know, Disney has been very successful. We looked at Disney in terms of their learnings. They successfully opened up Shanghai, Disneyland Shanghai in May 6th, still open, still doing well. It's about 40% capacity. And Disney Hong Kong was opened and it closed recently, but it's reopening soon. So we are talking about the guest experience, and we are talking about American Dream. There's nothing like American Dream, only American Dream. And to understand what that means, let's take a look. So Andy and I, almost a year ago, were walking in the ski area, which looked like this about a year ago, but what looks like this now. So Andy, how do we think about this? Because this is only one aspect of a multiple multiple experiences. I mean, how do you?
Well, this project is really framed around the idea, and this is an overriding Gensler principle, actually, that people come first, right? And at this point in time, you know, people coming first really means that there's, you know, that they feel safe. They feel safe in the property, right? And we'll have a separate conversation about that later, I know, but it used to mean that, you know, the guest experience was primary. And when we're talking about retail centers, and we know that retail has been a little bit troubled, infusing that retail experience with an entertainment component, i.e. a ski hill or or amusement park or a water park, then you transform that experience, and that experience becomes much richer.
And that's just one aspect of it. When we look at the Nickelodeon Park, and that was, I think, maybe about six months ago or so, and then we look at the successful opening, and can you get into this? Can you explain this? Because it's so wonderful, but it's so complex.
It's really amazing, and there's a testament to the family that owns this. You know, 555 is comprised of a privately owned company, and the family, the Gurmesians, are really visionaries, right? They understand the guest experience really like nobody else, And, their concept behind this was to have, wonder and surprise and, that level of engagement as you're moving through an amusement park. I mean, that's just great, right? So, as you're sort of walking through this park, there's, some fairly dense foliage. There's a lot of stuff around the corner. There are rides. I mean, there are a lot of rides here. There's, 28 rides in total. And really, you only see a few of them. Maybe there's a couple coasters, but as you move through the park, there's just entertainment piece after entertainment piece layered on top of this theming. And the theming is what all these kids know, right? The brand familiarity is really what knits this park together.
And then, when I was there, a couple times I would see, a mother or father, 2 or 3 kids, and the kids would be just running.
Yeah.
And how do you, and then when you first go there, I thought, well, let me look here. And then after a while, I couldn't look at it because it was just so deep.
Yeah.
And so what's the general, so it's a great picture, but what's behind it? I mean, how is all this working?
Yeah, I mean, what you don't, that's the beauty of it, right? What you don't see is the design team that put this together. There are, hundreds and hundreds of people, both at Gensler and elsewhere, that are, top in their field in theming design or roller coaster design. And, selections were made relative to these being, the biggest and best rides in the world, right? So we have the tallest indoor spinning drop towers, 220 feet tall. You get to the top, you spin, and it comes back down, right? And you get to see New York while you're up there. So, behind it is a machine, and the machine is made to be as transparent as possible. So you don't, from a guest experience perspective, it's intended to be as seamless as possible. Everything is you just have fun, right? You talk about kids running around and having a great time. And, when they get into that queue line, we don't want them to wait there very long. So the queue lines and all those wait times are, they're thought about, and they're made to be as short a line as possible. I mean, that's, you've been to amusement parks. I mean, you're going to have a little bit of a wait sometimes, but all of that is thought through. And certainly the back of house here is as complicated as what you see on the screen. With respect to the density of stuff, right? You got to make sure you support these facilities the right way, otherwise they just won't operate correctly. And they have done that here for sure.
Yeah, when you walk through the park, and either in the attachment, in the different attractions, you have no sense. What happens is at least I get the feeling that you just want to keep going. It's like an energy machine behind it that sort of propels you.
We talk about dwell times, right? I mean, you want dwell times for a lot of reasons. From a retail perspective, you want people to hang out in your store and buy stuff, right? And here it's dwell times, but not for the wrong reason, for the right reason. You want people to hang out and have a great time. And for sure, I took my family here and we spent almost the whole day. My daughter's 15, she brought a couple of her friends. And, my wife and I were having fun, they were having fun, and we, spent the majority of the day there. And really, it didn't feel like it, right? It's just a well thought out facility.
Yeah, it's just amazing how the colors and the sound and everything else
And you talk about attention to detail. I'm looking at the Nickelodeon balloon. The designer behind that, the company's called Signs and Shapes, and he's just a really smart guy, really nice guy. He's out in the Midwest. He does Macy's Day balloons. And the thought that goes into just that balloon is just unbelievable. And it looks, exactly like it's supposed to, but to appreciate it, you really have to see the behind the scenes part of it, right? It's internally lit. It has a little motor in there that keeps it inflated just right. That drip of slime is done just so, and with a very specific and custom fabricated material, right? So the details behind everything are mind blowing.
And when you go in there, one thing, and I was surprised, and it took me a while to realize how I was surprised I was, but I wasn't completely numb with the sound of all of the different, rides. You have a lot of activity with 28 rides there, and it's enclosed, and so it could be the world's largest or loudest amusement park, but somehow it isn't. Yeah.
Yeah, and that sound was actually tuned, and we had a lot of discussions about, how to make that sound work to our advantage. So, early on we were thinking, wow, we gotta mitigate the sound. We have to put, acoustical panels in here to slow the noise down a little bit so it's not quite as frenetic. But, the owner was saying, look, we want that noise. And to that end, the big coaster, you can barely see it, the purple and the green ones in the distance of this photo. The tubes, the steel tubes are actually filled with sand. So that deadens the vehicle noise and heightens the screaming, right? Because you want to hear people having a great time, right? And getting a little bit scared on the ride like you're supposed to. And that amusement park is open to the rest of the center. So as you're walking through the retail areas, you can hear it as you get closer to the park. So there's that sort of connection.
So thinking about screaming and excitement, I wanted to go to the next, basically. So here's probably my favorite pool on earth, and that's pre-construction while they're getting the slides. And here's the finished project. And can you, I'm ready to go right now. It's been almost 100 degrees in New York, and I'll be first online when this thing opens.
Yeah.
But this is super complex. Just from a statistical point of view, how big is that area? How many gallons would you say, or estimate?
Yeah. So the park is it's over 7 acres, right? In general. So specifically there's 1.5 million gallons of water in there, and it was actually filled with fire trucks. One of the flooring guys who did the flooring throughout here had fire trucks as a means of cleaning the surface before he painted it. So he repurposed them to fill the pool, and he just cranked up every nozzle they had on that thing, plus another fire truck and a little smaller device, and it took him almost 24 hours to fill it. So 1.5 million gallons of water is hard to sort of wrap your head around. Safe to say it's a lot of water. It's a lot of water.
It's a lot of water. And one of the things we look at here is that we look at the slides, you can't really, you see them on the top on the right. How do you even, I wouldn't even know which slide to go on. How many slides are there? And it's, there's just so much choice. Everything is just one big immersive experience.
Yeah. So again, there are 13 attractions here and 35 water slides. So, and each of these attractions is a specific brand. Again, we talk about that brand familiarity. So when a kid comes here, when I go here, I'm going to go to How to Train Your Dragon. I'm a Toothless fan, right? So you make that connection, and then by way of the graphics and wayfinding, you find your way. Even though it's this nest of water slides all intertwined together, everything is very clear when you're at the pool deck level. And similar to the amusement park, that first 20 feet or so from the pool deck or the amusement park floor up is where the focus is put for, those graphic and wayfinding pieces that bring people throughout the park, so that, again, that guest experience is as seamless as possible. Shouldn't be confused looking for rides, right? You shouldn't know where you're going. The body slide here happens to be, one of the biggest in the world. It's the second tallest, and it's the biggest indoor at 142 feet. So you will get tired getting to the top, but that 50-foot free fall as you're coming down, it will wake you up for sure.
What you can't see is on the left, you've got like box, people can buy a box, and they can almost like a stadium, spend an entire day at the beach, but still have food and catering and.
Different from the amusement park, there are levels of service available here, right? So you can come and get a cabana, you can have a VIP experience, and it can be varied. The offering is pretty amazing that way. There are rentable chairs on the pool deck, just lounge seats, or you can go up to one of the 28 cabanas that we put in there. And those cabanas, by the way, have a view out to New York, to the skyline of the city. So, this very engaging, very, very exciting experience, all capped off with these rides, right? So you and your family can go there, and you can hang out in a cabana or a poolside, and the kids can run around the park and have a great time. Yeah, this photo only tells part of the story. Behind us, as you're standing here looking at this, there's a couple surfing venues. In front of us, behind, what you see back there is a whole nother complex. That's the Shrek complex. And in and of itself, it has a series of water slides, more family oriented.
Yeah, it's just one execution from the level of detail. So when you go back to the ski slope, for those who haven't been here in the New York area, I think it's $69. and you get, I think it's skiing for an hour or two, lessons, all the equipment, so you can show up in your shorts and be skiing in 20 minutes. And so the level of not only that, but what's really, I mean, it's a great shot, and you're doing a great job, Andy, but you can't, just the level of detail when you actually look at the flooring. And can you just talk about that, the glass rail, Andy, because that's just, I mean, we're talking about the guest experience, but the guest experience, takes a decade to build, an imagination like a Walt Disney. So just one example of that, just that glass railing that's around the pool.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So, Dan and I were standing at right about where we are now in this photo, and I look down and I point to the glass rail and I say, there's a story behind every detail in this park, and every material, every selection that was made with great care and thought, and the glass rail is just one of those, right? And we spent an enormous amount of time on the railings in general in this park, the queue lines, and a particular amount of time on the glass railing. And you don't think about it, and you're not intended to think about it as a guest, but as architects and designers and the whole design team as a whole, we want to make sure that everything that we put in these parks, and in any design in general, really, there's that seamless thought to it. The glass rail has a film on it that will capture chunks of glass from falling. We wouldn't think about that because we don't need to, but we do to get it approved and permitted, and the health department was very concerned with the little fragments of glass falling into 1.5 million gallons of water. So, we made sure to get the right film on there so that wouldn't happen. And by the way, if a piece of glass did fall in that pool, you'd have to drain the whole thing and make sure all the glass was out. So we didn't want to do that, obviously. But to your point, Dan, these details, and that glass rail is just one of them, took many years to get right.
And frankly, if you didn't point it out, I wouldn't even seen it.
No.
And that's the amazing thing. There's no visual distraction, because you feel when you go in there, from the end, if you're looking on the left side of the screen, all you see is an open, inviting pool.
Yeah.
You don't see anything else. All the details behind it, and
it's really a testament to the craft too. I mean, we can draw it all day long, but I can't build it. I would never profess to be able to build it. But the people that do build it are just amazing. I mean, these arches, they came from overseas, and they came in, the steel arches that comprise that barrel vaulted roof came from overseas, and they came in 5 chunks, really, really, really big chunks. And they had one of the largest cranes on the planet to erect it. It's a Manitowoc 650. You can look that up. It's a very, very big machine, and it took 3 cranes to do it. It's really beyond comprehension until you see it, like how something like this gets put together. And then at the end of the day, you don't know it, right? That's the best part.
Right. You don't see it, and all you know is you want to go on one of the 28 slides, and you don't know which one.
Yeah.
And it's just it's amazing. So we could do a week. The reason why I picked American Dream, and Andy graciously has been working on this for 4 years, is that it's one thing designing a store, but it's another thing designing the experience. And even we look at the skating rink, which is actually opposite the juxtaposition next to the swimming pool, and not too far from the ski slope. So you look at that, and the pre-construction about a year ago, and then you look at it right now. It's just simply amazing. And the as the guest experiences become elevated, this creates a brand new standard for experience. And when you're even walking in the facility, and you're looking at the floor, or even looking at the ceiling or the lighting, it's just every detail has been thought through with a level that is just rare, basically.
And rare over, the millions of square feet that are at this facility, right? The tile that you see on that floor, again, the family really has a very specific vision, and, the design team as a whole worked to realize that vision. And, we spent a great deal of time making sure everything was just so. And doing that just so across millions of square feet is quite a task, and there are a lot of people dedicated to making that happen. The ceiling design here is amazing. Really, really well thought out, very clean, very clean. And inside of that ceiling, there are speakers, there are sensors, there are lights, there are all these things that, from a technology perspective, we can now leverage in this COVID, soon to be post-COVID world, to talk about an intelligent place and how that intelligent place will increase the guest experience. So the framework that's built into this facility is really second to none, and in a way that you wouldn't necessarily realize. The technology that's built into it, the thought that goes behind it, it provides a flexibility to the overall facility that is necessary in a normal world, but now is a huge bonus to have in this sort of very different pandemic world.
Yeah, everything is so thoughtfully done, but also the intelligence of and Disney uses the fast pass example where yield maximization of the physical space, and then making sure that the density of the experience isn't great, so it remains to be a very good experience. And
yeah.
I know when I was there in October and then November, December, January, it was packed, and I can't even imagine when this opens. It's really it's at a scale. I guess the best analogy I could say is that when Disney opened up Disneyland in the 50s, people thought that was Walt's folly. Of course, on opening day, you wouldn't be saying that anymore.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know what the appropriate level of visiting is, because to me, I feel like I'm every time I go there, I'm scratching the surface, and I've been there, many, many times. So it's the ultimate experience. So,
yeah. It takes a visionary, like Don Garmesian is a visionary. Like the family, they're all visionary. They understand better than anybody else what it takes to put a facility like this together and really create a guest experience that blows everybody away. And they've proved that at Mall of America and West Edmonton Mall. Their other properties are very successful. And we're all very anxious for this to open so everybody can experience it. I know the people that are from the area probably know it as Xanadu and other, there's a lot of sort of negative press around it, but you've got to see the inside of it to fully appreciate what's been done. And the people that go there, and then we talked about this, your idea of it is transformed.
Yeah, it's complete delight. Complete delight. It's the ultimate, as Mark said, the ultimate experience center. It's the ultimate guest experience, and there are just like so many lessons for those of us in the industry. There's the lighting lesson, there's the detail lesson, there's the human software or the human touch experience, there's the brand story, there's just layers of intricacy and excellence that's just unmatched.
Yeah.
And then for those of you who are on the call and have been on calls, we will give you a guided VIP tour of this. So thank you very much, Andy. This is phenomenal. And I'll leave your if you want to get in touch with Andy to discuss this and other things, please let us know. So David is on the call, and David is in the business of getting people to American Dream in a sense, because he's one of the largest agencies for travel. And he's provided us with a couple of views about convention security, which we thought would be potentially applicable. So I'll run the first video, and then David, you can talk a little bit about what you're doing. So we'll take a look at this, and then we'll ask David about this.
Bienvenido a la cabina de sanitización BioArmor. Colócate al centro del círculo que está en el piso. Por favor, gira 2 veces. Cuando encienda la luz verde, puedes salir por la puerta frontal. Te invitamos a seguir utilizando las medidas de contingencia. Gracias por tu preferencia. Ejecutando ciclo de autodesinfección con luz ultravioleta.
So David, I believe this is security for one of the conventions in Guadalajara, which is a really big convention hub in Mexico. And yeah, could you just tell us about what you're doing to help people, enter and have a safe experience, but also, how would they be traveling safely? And tell us a little bit what your company does.
Thank you, Daniel. Good morning to everyone. Yeah, the video that you just saw, it is something that we put on the convention center in Guadalajara. It is one of the most important convention centers in Mexico and also in Latin America. And as you were telling the people, trying to build the best experience, not only when you are traveling, but when you are doing something, just as Andy was telling us, you need to be people to feel safe. And in these pandemic times, we need to rebuild ourselves and to rebuild the way of we are doing the experience and the services. And probably I will say the same thing as Charles Darwin said, right? It's not the strongest species that the one that will survive, but not even the most intelligent, but the most responsive to change. And that's what we are doing now, because you want to build this experience, and then you need people to feel safe in order to have this guest experience well done. But safety, it will be the result of a process that you need to take, because as you were telling, safety is the most important thing on the guest experience. But the human touch, it can be lost, because human touch probably will get lost if you are using a lot of masks and all that security equipment for the people, and that probably will make them feel scared of what it is going on. So we need to build a way for them to use this equipment, but also to feel safety, but with this human touch. And this is very important, because we are humans. We need to feel like we are together, we are in contact with people. And in another hand, to go and to have an experience in a place that it's giving me not only the good opportunity to have like a memorable experience, but also to, again, feel safe. And this is what we were looking at when we saw the American Dream. You want to go there, you want to spend a day or a couple of days in there, because there's a lot of things to do, but because you know that you're gonna be safe, because they are using the protocols in order for you to feel safe. But what happened between American Dream and how to get there, right? If you're traveling from outside of US or from another state, and you're trying to get there, you are going to get to the airport, and then how safe is to be in the airport? What kind of shuttle are you going to take? Are you going to take a taxi, a regular one, or what? And this is where we are working really hard as a company. What we did is a special staff that is focused only in trying to give this safety feeling to the people, as we are always trying to have like the opportunity to do the protocol in action. I mean, if you are going to your car for a shuttle to the hotel, you need that car to be clean, sanitized, and probably you need your luggage to be clean also before you got to the car. And who's going to do that? I mean, probably everybody knows that this is the part of the protocol, but who is doing that? And this is where we are working really hard. We are the ones who is in charge of these little details that will become the experience to build better in order for every passenger to feel safe. And then, of course, you got to the hotel, and then you, of course, need to know what protocol is in the hotel, what protocol is in the restaurant that you want to go. And of course, if you want to go to a place like American Dream, then you need to know also what do I need to get there. It is just myself and to be standing there, and then I'm gonna be able to walk in, or should I go through these boxes that you saw on the video, and probably some people that is not used to have this kind of boxes, they say, hey, is it secure? Is it gonna happen something to my skin or something? You need to give them all this the information in order for them to feel that everything is okay, and then once you step ahead of that,
I think that's really
step. Then you want to have the good experience after that. Yeah,
no, I think that's really, really important. It's good to see. We have some questions coming in right now, so why don't you, Andy? These may be challenging questions to ask, and so thank you very much, David. Yeah. So
good.
The question really from Stephen is, I was thinking queues under COVID must be a problem. Just remembering that screaming in amusement parks got a few headlines a couple of weeks ago. Thanks, Stephen, for your question. And then he's saying that basically, whatever it is used in swimming pools these days, would you have a problem with water stagnating if it doesn't get changed frequently, or a million gallons of water? How does that work? So that may be a question.
Yeah, I saw that question. I was thinking about it. I'm glad you pointed it out. So the queue lines are, as David saw, it's part of that experience with regard to safety. And the queue lines have been sort of retooled to a certain extent to maintain the social distancing needed per the CDC guidelines, and then some, right? We're trying to make that experience, both queuing to get in the park and while you're in the park, as sort of comfortable as possible. And it's about messaging, it's about graphics, it's about signage on the floors, positioning for more people would stand, so that there is a safe amount of distance between everybody. So I believe that's very well taken care of and very well thought of. And there's a comprehensive plan that ownership has put together, and we help them with to message that and make sure that it is as safe as it could be. Yeah. With respect to the water in the pool, it's 1.5 million gallons of water. And, that's one of those details you don't see. Underneath that pool, and, on each end of the facility are massive rooms, 30,000 square feet of space on one side. And I think it's 10,000 on the other side. Lots of pumps. There are thousands of gallons of chemicals, the chlorine, that's sort of mixed in with the water, and it's constantly being tested, it's constantly being recirculated. The health department is very, very interested in the levels within that water, and they're maintained. So right now they're not moving it as much because they don't need to, but as soon as we can open that space, the health department will be there, and it will not open unless it's safe. And so far, they've been able to keep the levels right where they need to be to the health department's satisfaction.
I also read that they are also partnering with Hackensack Meridian. Is that correct?
Yeah, they do. They are, for Gensler's sort of input, we really help them with graphics and wayfinding with respect to locations, and we worked with ownership on messaging, right? Hackensack Meridian is helping from a doctor's medical perspective. That's something that Gensler can't do. We're not medical professionals. We can't make that sort of recommendation. And to what extent they're working with them, I'm not exactly sure, but I know that it's in great detail, again, to make sure everybody's safe and comfortable and the messaging is right. Perfect.
And for those, apologies to the bespoke store. We having some trouble with your video. We're going to be playing it on the replay, and also we're going to be featuring it this Thursday when we have a sort of another recap of this with Mark Jermasian, and that's in Spanish subtitles. So apologies for the bespoke store, but we're going to be featuring your piece on Thursday. My apologies. David, congratulations on having a terrific approach to a company, for your company, and also having something that would be sort of a solution for people who want to travel, but just don't want to travel without safety. And so thank you very much. And we'll include this as part of the video that we'll be playing. And for those of you who missed it, we're going to be having an edited version of this on the site a little bit later today. So thank you very much. Apologies for the rough beginning. We thank you very much for coming, and we hope you have a great day. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, David. And thank you for coming. Great job.